The Delhi High Court has directed the MCD to take action against officers for not doing their job. This after the High Court held a hearing on the spread of chikungunya in Delhi. Municipal Corporation of Delhi officials have been pulled up after an unprecedented rise in the number of mosquito-borne diseases in the city. In fact, Justice Geeta Mittal has observed that punishing for contempt is not enough. Disciplinary proceedings must be taken. Response is to be given within 2 days. Milan Sharma was in Delhi High Court and she's been tracking all of those details. Milan, before we go into the details of the condition as far as civic issues in the national capital is concerned, the spike in the number of cases of both dengue and chikungunya, let's talk a little about what really happened in court today. Tell us more about that.
Correct. In the Delhi High Court today, both the commissioners of the Municipal Corporation from North MCD as well as South MCD were called by the bench headed by Justice Geeta Mittal, and she mentioned clearly that why is it that the citizens have to come to court every time the government bodies or civic officials are not doing their jobs. And of course the judge's bench has taken into consideration a lot of media reports that state that garbage is not lifted in Delhi for over 6 days or even a week at a stretch, and the court obviously took notice of the fact that the view of the MCD or municipal corporations towards the citizen of Delhi is absolutely callous. And while on one side the municipal corporation lawyer, additional Solicitor General Sanjay Jain, tried to argue for the case of the MCD, saying that there is rise in inhabitation of people, and more than 22,000 people are living in one particular permissible limit area. The court said that it is the municipal corporation who's creating these master plans, and it is the municipal corporations who's helping in regularizing these colonies. So the Article 21 was rightly upheld by the court, wherein she stated that the citizens are not concerned with how the municipal corporations are managing their funds or whether they are able to pay the salaries to people or not. The question was very clear: why should the citizens of Delhi suffer because of the dereliction of duty of the officers of the municipal corporation? Back to you.
That's right. Miral, also, this is a perennial problem essentially, and intermittent rains have seen to led to a spike in the number of both dengue and chikungunya cases. So how is the MCD really looking to deal with the situation? Because it's the same problem year after year. Of course, they have to work in tandem with the Delhi government. So what do you understand when you speak with MCD officials on how are they going to look at this issue this year?
That was the exact observation the Delhi High Court made as well, that both the municipal corporation as well as the Delhi government has to work together to combat spread of diseases like chikungunya, dengue and malaria. In fact, a report filed by Sanjay Narula that stated that it is not just fresh water that leads to chikungunya, as explained many times by the municipal corporation. Breeding of mosquitoes takes place where garbage is left uncleared, and hence this also results in rise in cases of diseases like dengue and malaria. And the court observed that how is Delhi going to be a world-class city? How is the national capital handling the crisis of garbage? And definitely all over the world, in fact, the garbage is picked up on certain days and taken away to other areas. And the court questioned that why hasn't the municipal corporations created a strategy up till now, since the time that they have been power, and even after they won the municipal corporation elections, the BJP party for that matter, why have they not created a strategy to do so in so many years? And why is it that the citizens of Delhi have to suffer, especially with the rising cases of chikungunya and dengue this year? The cases have already reached more than 100 from January till June, and last year, in fact, there was no case during this time. So the problem of dengue, chikungunya and malaria is now not related to rains and season changes. It is related, it has become a constant year-round issue, which is why the court now observes that strict action be taken against officials in areas where the garbage is not being lifted. And also what the court noted was that scavenging of drains is happening in the most manual way, and the Safai Karamcharis are actually getting inside the drains and manually picking up the garbage, which is also something the High Court observed and is a violation of the Supreme Court Act on manual scavenging. So definitely these were the issues that the High Court noted, and they have told the commissioners to get out of their air-conditioned offices and actually do ground spot checks to themselves see how the citizens of Delhi are suffering because of the garbage mess in Delhi. Back to you.
That's right. Milan, in fact, continue to be with us. Milan, talking about the fact that the Delhi High Court has come down heavily on the MCD today. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is also with us. Thanks for speaking to Mirror Now this afternoon, sir. It's that time of the year when we ask you this question about dengue and chikungunya in Delhi. Give us a sense of what in your understanding is the way out, because this is a perennial problem and the MCD and the Delhi government both seem to be completely incapable of dealing with the problem. There's a spike in cases, there's a healthcare crisis, and mosquito breeding seems to be such a huge problem to deal with in the city.
Yeah, I think these debates happen every year. I also remember last year on your primetime shows, we've spent hours debating this, and a lot of officials actually through the civic authorities were also there. My take on this is that maintenance as far as roads, of the water drainage pipes, the sanitation, the maintenance of the roads, and to prevent waterlogging and therefore traffic jams, be it garbage clearance or scavenging, these have to be dealt with on 24/7, 365 days a year. Unfortunately, the rains come, and we know that rains have to come. This is an endemic problem. It's there perpetually all through the year. Unless and until a rollout plan for an annual basis is followed and maintained, it can't be done. Point number two is a common citizen who's paying his taxes has to suffer. Unfortunately, malaria worldwide is a preventable disease. The world has reached many miles ahead, and we are still struggling after years of independence on malaria. Point number two, chikungunya is not a disease which just comes with fever. It leaves long-term debilitating joints and other kinds of neurological problems. It's not fair, especially for the younger children who are most susceptible towards dengue, malaria, and chikungunya. And it's not only these vector-borne diseases. During the monsoon and waterlogging and related to garbage, there's a host of other illnesses like gastroenteritis, hepatitis, typhoid, cholera, which children and adults, especially from the lower socioeconomic, are subjected to. So I think this needs to be acted upon, and whoever the officials are, if they have failed to perform the duty, they should be sacked.
Right, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, thanks so much for sharing your perspective with us on that story. We also have with us on the phone line Monica Arora, who is the advocate for MCD in the north wing of the MCD. Thanks for speaking to Mirror Now this afternoon. What's really going on? Why does the MCD seem so, incapable of dealing with the problem of mosquito breeding in the national capital? We've seen the Delhi High Court has had to intervene and come down very heavily on the MCD. What's the problem that you're facing?
See, according to me, the problem is twofold. Number one, we certainly in our department, MCD, have to address to those people who are not performing their duties properly, those sanitary inspectors and those people on the ground who are unable to do their duty religiously, number one. Number two, there are many problems which MCD is facing in terms of resource crunch. The money is not being released by Delhi government. So we have less of resources in terms of apparatus of the Safai Karamcharis, the trucks, etc. And number three, which forms a major problem in East Delhi especially, is when you have capacity for about 12,000 persons per square kilometer, and there are 38,000 persons per square kilometers, because only 90 colonies are regularized. They are planned colonies. Rest about 257 are unauthorized colonies. About 250 or so are those unauthorized colonies which have been regularized without proper planning. Then Jhuggi Jhopri clusters are there. Then there are other kinds of urbanized villages, etc. So when you have planning for about 12,000 persons per kilometer, and there's additional population of 38,000 persons kilometer. Certainly, yes, we'll take care that the MCD people clean those areas. They have to desil the drains also, but we cannot carry on any further development activities in those areas.
Monica Arora, I do understand perhaps that the problems that you're talking about and that you're going to tell the court also are very real problems, but you know,
yes,
how are you going to deal with it is the question. You have, you know, the MCD in 3 parts in the national capital, and this is a perennial problem. It's not like you've been caught off guard, you don't know what's going on, what's happened. Chikungunya in Delhi and dengue in Delhi are perennial problems. So what's the long-term solution? Where's the plan of action?
Problems. I understand they are life-affecting, life-threatening problems. So in MCD, firstly, the direction is that whoever is not doing their duties properly will not be spared. And it's our intention also they will not be spared, number one. Secondly, we'll be talking to the Delhi government and the union government also to give us the resources for buying apparatus, for buying trucks, for having more and more people so that the work is done properly. And thirdly, this problem of unauthorized construction, unauthorized incoming of population will have to be catered to also. So we'll have a comprehensive strategy on this. We have to give a 2-page note to the Division Bench of High Court by 27th of this month, and we'll certainly come out with real solutions on this topic.
All right, real solutions. Hopefully that happens, and we don't have to talk about this very issue next year. Hopefully you are able to deal with the rising cases of dengue and chikungunya in the national capital. The numbers are fairly startling as of now, and this of course is mainly because of sporadic rainfall, increase in temperatures in Delhi. Monica Arora, thanks so much for sharing your perspective with us. I also do understand that Ashutosh Dikshit, CEO of Urja, is with us. Ashutosh Dikshit, what do you make of this? In fact, we just had a word with Monica Arora, who's spoken about the fact that this problem needs political will. There has to be some cooperation on the part of Delhi government, on the part of the central government as well, and then can MCD solve this problem. Otherwise, you know, it's impossible for them to deal with it alone.
Yes, that is correct. I mean, political will is required, but the direction of political will has to be understood. From what I heard, the direction is wrong. They've been saying the same thing about equipment and stuff like that for years. But unless and until you're able to adequately deploy all this, it is not going to help. The Aedes aegypti mosquito, which causes chikungunya and dengue, is a container breeder. Most of it breeds inside households from where the problem comes. Now, unfortunately, both the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program of the government as well as the municipal corporations have been unable to devise a strategy where they can actually actively and sort of in a accountable manner engage with community groups and resident welfare associations, because this problem cannot be handled by the government alone, no matter how much they want to. They will simply not have enough numbers of people or wherewithal to go house to house and colony to colony, corner to corner, nook and nook to fix this problem. So what they end up doing is they just take out ads and run awareness programs, or the MCD will hold a workshop and call some RW and you listen to one lecture out there. That is not going to help. We've written this time and again to the government as well as to the Vector-Borne Disease Control Program that please set up a protocol whereby you can manage to work in an organized manner by empowering local communities as well as making them responsible and accountable. The government will have to do that. This is how it is done worldwide. Unfortunately, the difficulty with our government agencies, and I don't blame politics so much with it, our protocols are such that they find it very, very difficult to let go of control and power. So unless and until they're able to devolve some kind of power and accountability to community groups, they will not be able to solve it. They can keep on repeating the same platitudes year after year after year and have the same problem again and again. So this is something they are not being able to crack.
Yes, Ashutosh Dikshit, you know, I would really request you to use Mirror Now as a forum to, you know, to sort of, you know, give an advisory of sorts to people living in the national capital on what they can do on their part really to control mosquito breeding at their homes and what really should be the way forward. Of course, you rightly pointed out that just the MCD or the Delhi government really can't solve this problem. It's up to the people of Delhi as well. So why don't you just give them a few steps on how to deal with this problem, you know, within their own homes?
I will say that the first thing people of Delhi, each and everyone should realize that the mosquito has to be stopped at the breeding stage. And this breeding happens within their household. It happens in containers. It happens in pots. They must replace the water repeatedly, regularly. They must not at all think that their house is safe or safer than anybody else's. The enemy is within. They must realize that, whether it's their coolers, their flower vases, any container, each and every container which has clear water and clean water must be repeatedly changed. This mosquito breeds in clean water. It does not breed in sewers and drains. It does not breed in sewers and drains. It breeds in clear water. They must do that. Secondly, they must not be too focused on this fogging business. Fogging is a sham. Fogging does not help that much. They must stop it absolutely at the larval stage where the breeding of these mosquitoes takes place. What very often happens when the mosquito problem explodes, residents go running and people go running to their RWA and to their councillors to get fogging done. That is a photo op. It should not be it is the last resort. Each and every resident of Delhi must pledge that he and she will not let mosquito breed inside their own house. And that, in the case of chikungunya and dengue, means constantly keeping a watch on every container that has water.
All right. Ashutosh Dikshit, CEO of Urja, I appreciate your speaking with me now this afternoon.